This is my backyard, and this is the first garden that I ever made. Many years ago, we had an above-ground pool in the backyard. It was surrounded by arborvitae trees. We used it when the children were small. We decided to take down the pool, but we didn't know what to do with the empty backyard, so we spent the winter drawing up a plan, and the first, well, kind of warm day, we started to dismantle the pool. By the spring of that year, we had nearly completed the first phase of a 3-year building project. I had never built a garden, in fact didn't really garden a great deal, so we were very focused on the building and planning of the project, not so much thought on what the garden would be like. I was always a vegetable gardener at heart. I loved the idea of growing fruits and vegetables. I was never a flower gardener, so the first year that's what I planted, vegetables. I planted a few flowers around the edges, and I did buy a peach tree. And this is what it looked like in summer of our first year. The next year, I was still growing fruits and vegetables. We had decided to return working on our house and let the project lapse for a year. This is a view from standing on the back deck looking toward the house. You can see during the year we have painted the house. After a year or two had passed, we finally went back to our original plan and built the tool shed and added a water feature, a small fish pond. If you have a small space to build a garden, I would say take your time. Your ideas may change over the course of the seasons, and you may want to try new things. I enjoyed the vegetable garden, but eventually did switch the shade garden over to ornamentals. As you acquire new garden knowledge, you also acquire a sense of what plants work well with each other and what their requirements would be. In building any garden, I would say keep your budget in mind, go slowly, and choose your plants carefully. After a number of years, the evergreens have grown so tall, we limb them up to provide more room in the yard. The decks have stood up amazingly well through the years. We used pressure-treated lumber when we built them. In building decks on the ground, it is important to remember when you have the frame built, you must staple a strong weed barrier throughout the whole area before you lay the final deck. I can't stress how important this is. The only maintenance the decks require is to be power washed in the spring to remove all the dirt from the cracks and to take off any mold that has built up. This is how the garden looked last summer. You can see we've changed the house color yet again. I did add some stone to the gravel path in the center just to make it easier to walk on in bare feet. Last year I redid this section of the garden because I suddenly took it into my head that I would love a great hosta collection here, so plants had to be moved to make room for the new hosta. We also removed this bed from the original plan to make more room for entertaining. It really opened the garden up and gave us a lot more room. This is a view from the shade garden looking across to the cottage garden. We built the same trellises in both gardens to tie them together. This is the shade garden trellis in late summer. It provides a nice entry into the garden. This garden is always quiet and peaceful. It's due to the tall trees that surround two sides of it. They really do block out much of the city noise and provide shelter during the winter storms. It is so peaceful that last spring this little squirrel used to nap on the deck around 10 o'clock in the morning. This is what the garden looks like in late October. Even though the plants or the planting theme in this garden has changed many times, the bones of this garden, the hard structures, have remained the same over all of these years. In starting a new garden, plan carefully. It doesn't matter how fast you work or if you want to stretch it over a few years, because after all, a garden is never finished. Much like life, a garden is always a work in progress.